Hi guys, welcome to this video, and in today's video we are going to be exploring typography and shapes. Okay, so this is our Photoshop interface, and we want to create text in Photoshop, right? So to create text or to write text in Photoshop, we get a type tool which is found down there, or you can just press T on the keyboard. So I'll press T on my keyboard and the type tool is selected. And notice the type options here have changed as well. Okay, so there are two ways to write text in Photoshop. The first way, just click on screen. When you click on screen, you have this cursor blinking like so, right? And you can get to type your text. So I'm going to type my text. Like this, right? And I'm going to accept. So this is the first way to type your text. So I'm going to get my move tool and I can move this around, okay? Now, what's the second way to create text? So let me get my type tool. This time around, instead of clicking on screen, I'm going to click and drag, like to draw a box, okay? This, and I get something like this. So I get a box created. I can type my text here, right? Okay, so I can just copy this and paste and paste. Now, if I keep on typing and my text overflows the box, you will now see this plus sign, this plus here, indicating that the box is too small for the content in it. So I can decide to increase the size of the box by coming to these corners here till I have these two headed arrows. When I drag, like, just increase the size of the box, okay? Drag. Now you see that plus sign is gone, meaning that all of our text fits in the box, okay? And I'm going to a step like that. So the first one is just have a single line of text, and the second one is to have a text box. Now in this single line of text, so if I come back to a type tool here, if I want to edit this text here, I'll have to just come and point on the text, and notice my cursor changes from this one here, this box, to just the cursor. Which is when I'm out here, I have the cursor in a box, and when I point on a text like so, when I point on text, it has just the cursor, so I can click on that and I can edit this. Okay, so if I press enter on the keyboard, it gives me a new line and I can add more text to it like that. Alright, so I can just delete this side, this one here, since I don't really need that, and I'm going to accept this. Okay, now let's explore the properties panel. So properties vary depending on the shape we select. So let me get my move tool and I can move this around. Now to get the properties panel, go to Windows and for properties. Okay, so Windows and properties. So this is the properties panel. As I said earlier, properties will vary. What you see here will vary based on what you currently have selected. So if I click out of screen, select my move tool and click out of the canvas, okay, properties now show me documents canvas. Okay, it shows me the properties of the document on the canvas because I have no layer selected. So if I click on text, it now shows me properties for text. Okay, so the very first property for text is the typeface, what also you guys call fonts. So I'm going to explain the difference between a typeface and a font later on. So click on this drop down and you're going to see all of the typefaces you have installed on your computer. Okay, there are some typefaces I have that you guys don't have. I've just easily downloaded them, and I'll be showing you guys how to download and install typefaces. And in our last class, we installed a typeface together, flash display. Alright, so this is where you get to change the typeface of your design. Okay, so I'm going to just go with this one. So select any typeface of your choice. So I'm going to go with Montserrat. Okay, and I'll take Montserrat extra bold. So when you get to select a typeface, right, below this here now have the typeface width or the font width. When you click on this drop down, you get to see the width available, which basically is the thickness of that particular typeface. So it can be thin, as you can see here how thin the characters are, and you can select right up to black, really thick like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with black. The next one here we have the font size. Okay, so you can click in the box and type any value you want. Let me type 50. So I have something like this when I type 50, this. Or you can click on this drop down and select any value you want here. If I get 60, that's what I have. Or you can click inside the box and use your arrow keys. When you use your down arrow keys, it drops the value. When you use your up arrow keys, it increases the value. Like so, when you're done, press enter. Now the third one is how I always do it. So point on this T, these two T's here, right? So let me just get there. This one here, T and T, small t and capital T. Okay, point on them, click and hold. So when you point on them, notice the arrowhead changes to this. Okay, point on them, and when the arrowhead changes to that, click and drag the left to reduce the size, like so. Click and drag to the left to reduce the size. Click and drag to the right to increase the size. So again, you point on this TT, drag to the right to increase the size, drag to the left to drop the size. Okay, so drag to the right, click and drag to the right, and I think I like that. So I'm going to get my move tool and select this other one here. So it's a paragraph we had here. Okay, and I'm going to increase the width of the box, like so. Remember, this is not a shape, it's just a text box. Okay, accept that. Now moving on, I've already showed you how to select this, how to change the width. Like now, I think this is too thick, so let's change this width to regular. Okay, then the next thing is this. We have what is called the leading, which is basically the space between the lines of text. So let me just come here and increase this lines of text, just for example's sake. Okay, so let's say we have something like this, right? Now, if I select this particular value here, then it has to be the spacing in between each line. Okay, so if I come to this drop down and select a bigger value, you see what has happened, right? Just increase the spacing between each line. So again, if I point here on this A and A here, I point here like so, I can easily click and drag to the left to drop like that, or click and drag to the right to increase. Okay, so I'm going to drop this so I have a value like this, or you can click on the drop down and take auto. Okay, like so. Then I'm going to drop the size of the characters when it says the text like that. You know, increase the left just a little bit. Okay, then now accept. So we now have something looking like this. I'm sure this makes sense, right? So again, this is called the line spacing between the lines of text is called leading, and you can adjust it here. All right, you can either select auto or you can give it your own value, right? So every other thing here, we're just going to allow everything like that. Now make sure these two values are always kept at 100%. We have vertical scale, this one here, vertical scale, and horizontal scale. Always make sure they are kept at 100%. Very important. 100%, 100%. Okay, moving on to the next thing. We want to change the color of our text. So let me select this one here, a very short story, and we can change the color of the text here by clicking here, and we see our famous color picker. Okay, so we have this our slider here, and we have this box here, which basically has the coloring. So if I go to this slider and pick, let's say, blue, I can now come inside here and select the version of blue I want. Okay, like so, and then I can take OK like that. I'm sure this makes sense. And the next thing I want to show you guys here, we have these type options here. So whenever you have text, right, and you want everything to be capitalized, you can just come here on this capital T, these two capital T's here. And when you click on that, everything becomes capitalized like that. Okay, though we typed in lowercase, when you click on that, everything becomes capitalized as such. Right. Okay, so let me just drop this as a little bit more. And we have this. Perfect. So that's all I'm going to show you for now. Point out properties, okay? And as we keep going, keep on exploring stuff. So again, the properties panel here is going to change. This properties panel here is going to change based on the tool we have selected. So since we have, it's going to change based on the object on screen we have selected. So since we have text selected, properties panel here, this properties here, provide the options for working with text. So if I have nothing selected, by just clicking out of the canvas with my move tool, I now have properties of the canvas. Alright, this means we'll have the same thing with shapes, right? Okay, so let's move on to shapes since we are done with basic typography. And for those asking, how do I download and install a font? Let me quickly show you how to get that done. So this particular typeface I'm using is called Montserrat, and it's a free typeface. So to download that, you can go on Google and type Montserrat fonts download, like so. Montserrat fonts download, and you follow the very first link. So it's a Google font and it's free. You can download that for free. And I'm also going to share the file with you guys. Okay, so you'll see here download family. Just click on download family and your download has started. Okay, then when it's done downloading, you have to come here, unzip the file. So I'm going to unzip the file like that. So this is it now. Open it up, and I'm going to go into the static folder and the static, and you see we have so many weights. So it's different weights. So these things you see here, so I'm just come back to Photoshop here. So when I click on that here, not on the first one, this first one select the font itself. So after you select the font, this second one down here, it has to do all of the weights here. These are the weights here. So the different weights here. So just select everything, right click on it, and you take install, and you're going to install that for your PC. And that's the same way you install any other font. So whenever you're on the font, we can just come to the fonts, open the up, right click on it and install. I'm sure that's excellent. So you guys should install these fonts as well. Okay, now let's move on to bringing in shapes. Okay, so how do you bring in shapes, or how do you draw shapes? Very simple. We get your shape tool, right? And remember that our shape tools is a group here which has a rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, the triangle tool, the polygon tool, the line tool, and we have custom tools. Okay, so let's first of all select the rectangle tool like so, right? So we are selecting the rectangle tool. And how do you draw a shape? Just click on screen and you drag like this, right? Clicked on screen and I drag like that. So I've clicked on screen and dragged. Now see how my properties panel here has changed to something else. So it has changed to what? Properties of the shape, like that. And you can clearly see that the color of my shape here is white. That's why we see this here white. Okay, so when we are working with shapes, we have two very important things. We have a fill color and we have a stroke color. So the fill color, if I click here on fill here, click here, is basically the color of the shape itself, right? Then the stroke color is the color of the borders of that shape. Okay, so the fill color is the color of the shape itself, and the stroke color is the color of the borders of that shape. So fill color I've set to that. So I've set my stroke color to black. Okay, then I can come down here. Immediately below this stroke we have this drop down here. You can increase the value of the stroke. You can now see how thick that is. Increase the thickness of the stroke. So I now have something like, let me get my move tool, click outside here, and I have something like this. Okay, black. And I can come back here and change to any other color I want. So I've changed to this new color here. You see, so we have a fill and we have a stroke like that. A fill and a stroke. So when you're working with shapes, I have this shape selected now. Though I'm no longer on my shape tool, I've drawn the shape and I've gone to my move tool, but I still have the properties of the shape here on my properties panel. Okay, very important, right? So you have the fill color, you can change to anything you want to change it to. Then we have the stroke as well, like this. So we can change the stroke color to any color you want, and you can change the size of the stroke as well. Okay, the next thing you can change, see here, the next item beside that stroke size is the stroke options. Do you want the stroke to be a straight line or a broken line like this one? Okay, or do you want it to be dotted lines like that? Let me just change the color to black so you can see that clearly. You want it to be something like this. All right, these are things I hadn't ever used, these dotted lines, right? And I'll just take that away. Then the next one we now have this four cornered stuff. We have the left corner, left top, left bottom, right top, and right bottom. And notice we have this chain icon here, very important. Now you notice that this is highlighted, meaning the four corners are linked together. So if I click inside here and I give it the value of like 20, it affects all four sides. So it basically rounds the corners. Okay, I'm sure you remember from the last video how we rounded the corner of our rectangle. So if I give the value of 50, it affects all sides because of this chain that's activated. And how do we quickly increase this value? As we always do in Photoshop, just point here like so, then click and drag to the left. So you can drag to the left, you're going to reuse that. So we have no rounding on the corners. And if I click here and drag to the right, I'm now introducing rounding like that to the corners of that particular sheet. And if I keep on going, I get right up to the maximum possible round I can get to. Something like that. I'm sure this makes sense, right? Okay, that's great. So in case you don't want to affect all edges at the same time, you just click on this chain icon here to disconnect them, right? So when you click on it, the corners are now disconnected. So you can click and drag, so it affects just one side. It affects just the side you're dragging. Okay, if I click here and drag, it affects just the side I'm dragging like so, right? It doesn't affect everything. So if I do this, now you see I have something like this. It affects just the side I'm pulling. Okay, like that. Something like this. It affects just one side. It's not affecting everything. And then, okay, I'm sure this makes sense. So I'm just going to go back. So I'll link everything again. Click here to link everything, and I'll give everything a value of 0, 0, 0, 0, like that. Okay, I'm sure this makes sense to everybody. So if you have any questions, do also drop them in the comment section, and I'm going to look at that. So that's very basics for shapes. Then when you have a shape like this, you can easily drop or increase the size of a shape, right? So we have this shape here, and if you want to increase its length or its width, so have the shape selected, your move tool, then go back to your shape tool here, down here, and you will now notice that we have these handles which come up again. When you point at any of the corners and see the two-headed arrow, you can click and drag like this, click and drag. Okay, so you can do something like this. And when you click and drag for it to extend out to the canvas, notice you no longer see it. Very important. So whenever you click and drag something to extend out to the canvas, you no longer see. So we have something like this. Okay, perfect. We'll just bring this back in here, style mainly like that, and I'm going to drop the size of the stroke, so you have something like, let's say this, right? Now for those who do not see these handles at the corner when you select the shape tool, this is likely for those who are using a version of Photoshop which is either Photoshop 2018 or lesser. So how do you get to increase and play with the size of your shape? So basically get your move tool, click on the shape, and we are now going to use our show transform controls here like this. So when you click on show transform controls here, we can play around with the shape of that You can play around the sides of that shape, okay? Then when you're done, you take, you accept like that. Sure, that makes sense. So let's see how we can draw other shapes. So I can get the ellipse tool. You can click and start drawing. So when you click and start drawing, notice you can draw an oblong, something like this. So I'm still holding, right? Click and hold and start dragging. You can draw something oblong like this and you allow, and that, right? You can change the color to whatever color you want, like so. Now, if you want to draw a perfect circle, okay, you come back here, you click and start drawing, then you hold shift on your keyboard. So again, you click, start drawing, then you now hold what? Shift on your keyboard. So when you hold shift, you now see the portions are constrained and you now have a perfect circle like that, okay? Then the other things apply to a stroke and you can change that out. Then let's look at a triangle like that. So you can click, you can draw your triangle, right? Same thing for a polygon. Click on that, select the polygon. Then before you draw the polygon, if you look at the tools options here, you get to see the number of sides you want it to have. So now here I have 5 sides like this, 5 sides, okay? So if I click and drag, it's going to draw something with 5 sides. So if I change this to 7, if I click and drag, it's going to change to something of 7 sides like this, okay? So I'll just get my move tool and I'll select everything. Delete, click on it, delete, click on it, delete, click on it, delete, like that. Okay, I'm basically pressing the delete key on the keyboard to delete that. So that's the very basics of shapes, right? Basically working with shapes. Very simple stuff, okay. So I've shown you how to write text, how to modify your text, how to download and use, and I've shown you how to create basic shapes. Now, let's see how we can use shapes here. So I'm going to quickly modify this thing here. So I'll drag this a little bit down like this. Then I'm going to take away the stroke of this particular shape here. I'll take it away. So how do you take away the stroke of a particular shape? So now it's black, right? How do you take it away? So when you click on this particular shape here, let's see. Okay, I'll click on this shape here. 1 minute here. I'll click on this shape here. And notice the layer is selected, okay? Click on the shape here. Then on my properties, you now see we have the properties for what? A shape, for this shape. So you click on stroke and here, just get that. And so that's when you click here. And now see this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's focus on this one here. This is what we take and select to have no stroke, okay? So when you click on this, notice the stroke is gone like that. So when I come back here, if I select the color, the stroke comes back. If I come back here and select this one here, which basically says no stroke, click on that, the stroke is gone. So I want no stroke and I also want no rounded corners like that, okay? Then I want to extend this my shape to fill up like so. Okay, something weird. So we have something looking like this. Alright. So just for being fast, okay. I've shown you guys that you can change the color of the shape by clicking here and selecting your own color from here, right? So you click on fill, then you can select a color from here or from these folders here, or you can click on this rainbow or this multicolored box here, click on it, and we are going to have a color picker. So you're going to pick your color and change. But there's a problem with this. When you're selecting your color, it's not reflecting on the shape itself. It's only after you're done selecting and you take OK that it reflects here, right? I really do not like that. So in case you want to change your color and sample the color or see the color as you're testing it out, what you do is you click on that particular shape, then come to its layer like this here, right? Then you click on this little box we have here. So double click on it, right? So double click on that little box there, double click, and you see we now have our color picker that's popped up again, and this time it's different. So when you select a color, you can now see it change live, right? Then before you accept. So I always use this one. So again, what do? You select your shape, you move to come to its layer and double click on this little box we have here. Double click, and you can now change your colors to what color you want, okay? And now you can select OK, right? Alright. Now, let's see how we can create what we call a clipping master. I think this will be obvious when we get that done. So let's import a picture, right? So just come down to your file explorer here and import any picture of your choice. So in this case, I'm going to import, let's see, let me look for a picture I can import. So I'm going to bring in this one. So I'll drag and drop like this. Okay, like so. Then I'm going to accept like this. Then I'm going to move it up like this. Okay. So I think I should transform a little bit. Let me just transform it so that it goes a little bit out of our canvas like that. And I'll accept. Now, notice that I've placed this particular image here is above this shape layer here. Okay. If I click on this shape and pull it above the image, you now notice the image, the shape is above the image, right? So I don't want that to happen. I want this picture to be directly above the shape layer. Okay. If I move this shape layer right down here, what I want to show you guys is not going to work. So this shape layer here should be directly below this picture we have just brought in. Very important. So let me say that again. This shape layer here should be directly below this picture. Okay, very important. So when we have that done, now right click on the picture like this. So come to the layer here, right click on it and look for create clipping mask, this option here. Click on it and you now have something like this. Okay, so you've basically clipped that shape, you've clipped that image rather to that shape. So let me do it again. So I'll just do Ctrl-Z on the keyboard and so make sure you have this image directly above the shape. So this is the shape we have here, right? Make sure you have the image directly above the shape like so. Then right click on the image and select create clipping mask. So you have something like this. So that particular image has been clipped to that shape, okay, like this. Very important. I'm sure that makes sense. Okay, perfect. And yeah, so that's how you create a clipping mask, and you can do the same thing with a circle. Okay, so let's say this is a blog and you want to add the author of this. So let me just take this down a little bit. Modify this like so. Okay, so let's just add something here. It's really quick. So let me just add my name like this. Right, let's assume I'm the author. Okay, so let's say author like that. So let me make, so I'll select just, now remember this is a line of based or text layer, right? So I'm just adding text and I'm sure I'm talking about. So I showed you two ways to create text. By just clicking once, you type your text and we want to go to new line, you press enter. So this is what I've done. Okay, I've not drawn a text box, so I'll type my name like this, press enter, and I'll type photo like so. Alright, then I'm going to highlight just the name like this and change the width, so I'll make it bold like that. Then I'm also going to change the, so after I've done that, I'm going to select everything now like this. Okay, then change the leading to auto. Then I can drop the size to, let's say 15. Then I accept here. Okay, and I get my move tool and I can move this back in place here. Right, now I want to bring in my picture there as well, but before doing that, let's draw a circle. So I'll come to our shapes here. Now select the ellipse tool. And how do you draw a perfect circle? And click and drag, then hold shift on your keyboard. Okay, so I want something like this. Then I can move this around. Okay, so I want to take away the stroke. So my properties panel is still open. So I'll take away the stroke by clicking on this no color here, like that. Then the color doesn't really matter to me, but let me show you the color something you can see. It's so green like that. Then I'm now going to bring in, I think I should drop this a little bit. So I'll drop the size of this thing a little bit. Right, like this. This makes sense now. So I can move this here. Then I'll click on, I'm going to click on this shape here. Now, why am I clicking on this shape? The reason I'm clicking on this shape is so that when I import an image, right? So if I import an image like this, let's see, I import an image like this one, the image layer is going to be added above the layer of this particular shape here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have the shape selected here, right? So when I drag and drop this image here and I accept, let's look at our layers here. You notice that this image here has been added directly above the layer of the shape I had selected. Okay, very important. So let's transform this particular shape into be, so I'll drop the size, and I'm sure you guys can already guess what I want to do here. So I want to create a clipping mask as we did earlier on for this one here. Okay, so I'll right click on the image here and I'll create clipping mask and I have something like that. Now the question is, how do you get to move this image? Very simple. Just point on the image and then click and drag. You can move like that, and you can transform as well. So remember, my show transforms option here is active. Here, show transformed. That's why you see these handles around like that. So I can click here and move around. And you can use your keyboard arrow keys to move it up, down, left, right. Okay. And we have something like this. Okay. Then now, one famous question: how do you get to move this thing around? So let's say we want to move this picture and this name together around. So one thing I can do is, if I move to, since this white space here, right? This space here is our background, our canvas, and it's locked. You can come here with the move tool, click and drag over here. Okay, that's not going to work. So one thing you can do is, let me just go back, is this. Let's see, back. Okay. So if you want to move this and everything around, so come to the layers here, okay? So this is the picture of the lady, and this is the picture of the shape, right? Select the click on the layer of the lady, then hold Control on your keyboard, click on the layer of the shape. Then you can now use the arrow keys and move around. Actually, you can see us it's moving around. Okay, you can use the arrow keys like that. Same thing for the name. You can click on the name and use the arrow keys to move it around, like so. I'm sure that makes sense to everybody. Right. Okay. Yes, so that's how you get stuff like that done. So we have seen typography, we've seen the basics of the properties panel when it comes to typography, and we have also seen the basics of the properties panel when it comes to working with shapes. Alright, so let's work on a project now. So while I was preparing to do this video, I saw this stuff. Let me show you guys. So on YouTube, when you open up the YouTube's homepage, right, and you hover on a particular thumbnail, you have this beautiful card which appears like this. So we are going to recreate this card in using Photoshop. Okay, so I actually screenshot something which we have here on this one. So this is what we have. So we are going to recreate this. Okay, so let me show you what I finally created. So this is the one I've done, right? So I'm quickly going to show you guys how to get that. Let's do it together. So the first thing is, let's create a new document in Photoshop, okay? And for some reason, let's just change it to centimeters. Yeah, for some reason, okay? And let's give it the width, the value of 26, and the height, the value of 30, like so. And okay, let's change this. Okay, let's allow the resolution to, let's see. Okay, let's change this to 72. Then here, let's give this the width of 108 centimeters and the height of 150 centimeters. Okay, like that, and create. So we have something like this. Okay, now again, this is what we are trying to recreate. So let's bring in the elements together. Very simple stuff, right? So the first thing what we need to do, we need to draw a rectangle here, then bring in a picture so that we can clip that picture to the rectangle. Okay, so come to your shape tool here, get a rectangle. So now I want to draw this thing. So instead of just drawing like this in my Canva and start resizing like this, okay, I'm not going to do that. So I'm instead going to do this. I'm going to come to the top here, then click and now drag down something like this, so it fills up that space for me. I'm sure this makes sense, right? Perfect. Like that. Then I would take away the stroke, since there's no stroke here. This thing has no stroke, so I'll take away the stroke. Then for the color, we don't really need color, but let's just give it the color so we can see what we are doing, okay? Now get my move tool, and you now see the layer of this shape here is selected, right? Then you can select any picture of your choice. So go to your gallery or go to your file explorer and select any picture of your choice, and use, for this case I'm going to use this picture here, drag and drop this. Then okay, this quality is too low, so I'll accept that. I'll look for something else, go for a different picture. I think I like this one, so I'll drag this one in here. I'll make it big like so. Okay, I think I like this. I'm going to accept. Then what do we do again? Exactly, we create the clipping mask. So right click on it and create clipping mask. So we have something like this. So this particular image here is restricted to what? To the shape. Exactly, right? Now if you drop the size of the image, you're going to now see the color of the shape. We don't want that. So you always make sure that you transform or you scale your images to be bigger than the shape itself, so that it fills up the entire shape like that. Okay, should that make sense to everybody? So let's go back to what we are trying to build. So I think we should increase the size of the shape a little bit. I think we should increase the size of the shape a little bit. So since we cannot select the shape from here, we get our move tool and click on this. What we are selecting is the picture, right? Not the shape. So how do you select the shape? Just click on the shape layer itself here, this one here, and you now see you have our handles which appear because of what? This is our show transform here. Okay, so you can increase it a little bit like this. Okay, I think this looks good now. I think so. Yeah, I think this looks okay, right? And I can click on the shape image and take it up a little bit. That's okay, accept that, and I can click on my image, take it a little bit up. Okay, I think this is fine like that, right? Perfect. So what's the next thing we want to do? So we want to draw this circle here, then put in a profile picture there. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to get the ellipse tool, which is this one. To draw a perfect circle, what do you do again? You click and then you hold shift, then you draw like that. Okay, I think this looks okay for me. And I'll take away the stroke as usual, and change the color just to see what's happening to this. Get the move so you can move this around like this. And let's look for profile picture. So I'm going to look for, or take, let's see, okay, I'll also take her, why not? And I'll drop the size like this. And what do we do? Clipping mask. Okay, so right click on her there and create a clipping mask. Always remember that the image should be directly above the shape you want to create a clipping mask on. Okay, so next thing we want is to get our type tool and now type stuff. So let's see, amazing YouTube studio setup ideas for creators. So I'll click on that. So before I type my text here, I'll notice that it's too small, so I'll increase this from the properties panel here like that. And for those of you who have installed Montserrat, okay, I want this to be semi-bold. So with type PC as Montserrat, then my style or the width is at semi-bold. Okay, then I want this to be that. Then my size is 160, 170 points. Always drop this depending on how things go. So let's just start this for the meantime. So amazing studio setup. Then I'll press enter on the keyboard so it takes me to the next line, as you can see here. Now continue ideas for creators. So I'm sure you guys already seen it. It is the problem we have here. So I'm typing this and it's kind of squeezing everything on the same line. So that's because of the leading here. So I'm going to select everything here by just doing Ctrl E. Since I'm still typing, I can press Ctrl E on the keyboard, the same way we get this done in office work. Okay, Ctrl E on the keyboard. Then I'll come here to this leading here, or click on this drop down now, take Ctrl for a start, and you have something like this now. Okay, and I can drop the size of this a little bit like this, and I can accept. Then get my move tool. I can move this guy a little bit up here and this. Okay, yeah, and I can change the color as well. So I think I should increase the size from this a bit to, let's see, 150. Yeah, then I can change the color of this text into something kind of greenish. So you see that's more of a green, not really black. That's a variation of gray. Okay, I think I'll take something like this. Yeah, something like this should work, okay. Now the next thing I want to bring in is this 3 dots here, which you can download on by just typing 3 dots menu icon like that. Then you can go to images and you'll be able to find it then. Okay. Yeah, loading will be when you get exactly this, and to just click on it and it's going to load up on this other side. Then you get to right click on it. I take save images to download it. Okay. Yeah. So how do you just drag and drop it now to your work? So this it here. I'll drag and drop like that. Now bring it this way. I can increase the size. So we think it's okay. So I think that's okay for me. So I'll turn off the show transform controls. Right. Then what else? Let's go back there. So we now have this other one. Think media blah blah blah. So just come back here. I type the text. So I'll type Frelens Creative Studio. I'll press enter and 115k viewers. Now there's a hyphen there. 1 month ago. So for this one, I'm going to first of all drop the weight from semi-bold to regular. Then I'll drop the size as well to something like that. Okay. Now let's pay attention to the spacing we have here. Okay, spacing is very important. So I'm going to move this a little bit up. Always a little bit up like this. Like that. Okay, which looks nice. Then we now have this last one here. So we have a shape here, this shape here, this icon, this text, shape, icon, and text. So we are going to do exactly that. Okay. So let's create another rectangle shape here. Then we'll make the corners rounded. So I'll click and drag like this. Yeah. Then take away the stroke. Change the color. So how do you change the color? So you see as the color changes. So you double click on this little box here. Double click. Then take a certain light version of green. So take something like this. Yeah, this should work. Then how do you make the corners rounded? Make sure this particular chain icon is selected. Then click on any of the corners, be this one, or this one, and drag to the right. Okay, I'll keep on dragging till it no longer changes. So something like this. And I'll get my move tool, go to the speed up. Like that. Now, how do I duplicate this? So we have 2 copies here, 1 and 2. How do I get to duplicate this thing here? There are so many ways you can do that, but the simplest way, click on it, then hold Alt on your keyboard, Alt on your keyboard, Option for Mac users, hold Option on your keyboard, then click, hold, and drag down. So let me do that again. Then just Ctrl Z to undo. So how do you duplicate this? Click on it, hold Alt on your keyboard or Option for the Mac users. Then we hold that. Notice that the cursor changes to this double. So these 2 cursors. If I allow Alt, it disappears. When I hold Alt and point, you see it changes to this, right? Then you can now click, hold down, and drag. So that's how you duplicate stuff. Okay, very simple. Then now let's come here. Again, we have this icon here, then we have watch filter. So these icons, you can always download these icons from Google. So I think I've already downloaded them. So let me just bring this in. So we have the watch icon like so, or drag this here. I'm going to drop it a little bit like that. Then just type in the text now. So I'll type in, let's see, watch data like that. Then I think I'm going to change this from regular to semi-bold. Then I'll increase the size as well. Let's say 120. Let's say 120. Okay, I think there's too much. Let's say 110. Yeah, this looks better. The chain. Then get my move, go back to my move tool here. And that'll be a little bit here. Now, for this particular one here, right? This is a PNG. So if you want to move this around, you're supposed to click on this black corners like this. The click entire, you're going to move the shape instead. Right? See, if I click entire, you're going to move the shape instead, not the watch itself. So pay attention to that. Okay, so maybe you might need to zoom in a little bit and click here to hold this like this. Or you might want to just look for the watch icon layer here, click on it, then you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. Okay, like that. So again, you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move stuff up and down. Alright, so let me just take this thing to 115. I think this looks good like this. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. So go in there and bring in the playlist icon like that. Can drop it a little bit. Then you can drag it down again like that. Then you can duplicate this one as well. So how do you duplicate again? Click on the layer or click on the object here, hold Alt on your keyboard, then drag. So I want to duplicate this text, then editing. Now I've duplicated it, it's currently hidden because it's below this shape layer here. You just come here, this is it here. Watch layer copy, okay? Click and drag it above. You now have this here. So you can double click on it. You can take let's say add to queue, okay, and then turn up add to queue like that. And we now have something like this done. Perfect. Right. So I want you guys to create this and submit. Okay. So you must not use the same things I've used. Feel free to use your own picture here and picture here as well. So the only things I'm going to provide for you guys is the font. So this is Montserrat. So I'm going to download this for you guys and upload. Then also provide these icons here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Right. So before this video, this one I created here. The same idea. Okay. It's a picture. This is a shape here. Right. Then you have the same things I've just shown you guys right now. Exactly the same thing. Okay. Right. And so when you're done with this, I want you guys to try out something to create stuff. Create something like this. Let's see. Okay. So this is something very simple. Number one, we have text layer. This one is bold. So the font here is Montserrat. Okay. Then we have this stuff here. The width here is regular. So this one here is extra bold. This one is regular. Then we have this image here. Right. Then we have a shape under. Okay. This image is clipped. So the shape under here. And this shape has a stroke. Okay. Then we also have this shape here as well. There's a shape, and we have clicked this particular image to this shape. So this is basically a very big circle that we have moved up like this. Then we have this shape here. So we have this image we have brought in here. Okay. Now, there's one thing peculiar about this image here. We have dropped the opacity. We have made it to be transparent so that we can see the color of the shape. And how do we do that? We clicked on the layer of the shape. Using shape here, right? We clicked on this layer of the shape here, and we go right up here to transparency. Just go right up, you see it. We have opacity, rather, not transparency, opacity. So normally it's going to be at 100%. This is what you expect to see. So this is the image here, which we brought in, right? So we have clipped the image to this shape here. We want to drop the opacity of that shape, okay, of that image, sorry. So make sure the layer is selected by clicking on it. Then you go to opacity, click on the drop down, and you can drop the opacity, which makes the image kind of transparent. That then you can see the layer under it. So that's what opacity does. It basically makes the image transparent so that you can see the layer under it. Okay. So when you have that done, then you can move forward from there. So yeah, so try and get something like, and just go back to what you had. Let's see what did we have before I move things around. Okay, yes, so try and do something like this. It's very simple. So there are two things that I'm expecting you guys to do. Okay, the one you need to do first is this one. I'm going to save this one and share with you guys. Then the second one you need to do is this one. Okay, so again, this one, use your own images to get them done, and I'm going to share these icons with you guys, right? All right, so if there are any questions, do well to drop the questions in the comment section, and we are going to explore it together. So just to recap, when how do you create a clipping mask? The first thing you need to do is draw your shape. Okay, draw your shape like this. Our shape has been drawn. Okay, let me get my move tool. So you have drawn your shape. Is the shape here, right? Then go to your file explorer. Okay, so this is the shape here. I'll just go to my file explorer down here, and can drag and drop my image like that. Okay, can decide to drop the size of the image like this. Then I'm going to right click on the image and take create clipping mask like that. Then you can decide to transform the image into a bit more like that. Okay, right, and that's how you create a clipping mask. So you can decide to click on this shape here, and notice the properties will change based on whatever you have selected. Now I have an image selected. See, properties have changed to properties for an image. Okay, very important. You can turn off this and stuff like that. All right, so I think that's it for this particular video. Drop your questions in the comment section, and I'm going to do well to have all of your questions answered. All right, and this brings us to the end of this particular class. Again, all of the files will be linked in the description of this video, and when you click on the link, it's going to take you to a Google Drive folder, which has all the resources there according to Day. So this Day2, okay, and you can get to download it from there. All right, guys, see you in the next video.